Did I miss something?
We can hear you.
Okay. Can we please call roll, Madam Secretary?
Okay, maybe she's having some technical difficulties. I'll go ahead and proceed with calling the roll. Commissioner Cortez,
Presente.
Commissioner Vargas,
Present.
Commissioner Romero,
Present.
and Chairperson Solorzano.
Present.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, sorry. Okay, so was the report of the posting of the agenda posted according to state law?
Yes, the report was posted according to state law.
Wonderful. So now we move to public items only. Do we have any public wishing to speak?
No, I don't see any hands raised or individuals wishing to speak.
Okay. So we'll go ahead and move on to the consent calendar. The first item is approval of the November 18th, 2021 RCY Commission minutes. Do I have a motion?
I make the motion. This is Commissioner Cortez.
Commissioner Vargas seconds the motion.
Thank you. Now to the discussion items. So the first item on the discussion agenda is the Recreation, Cultural, and Youth Commission reorganization. So who's gonna, or do we just go ahead and say our nominations, or how does that work, Roseanne?
So we'll open the floor for nominations, and if anybody wants to either put themselves forward or nominate a fellow commissioner, we'll take a nomination followed by a second if they're, so ordered, and then we'll take a roll call vote. And that will be for the chairperson. And then what we'll do is we'll also do a vice chairperson. So in the event that our chair is cannot participate, then we have somebody that can fill in. So the nominations are now open for chairperson of the Recreation, Cultural, and Youth Commission reorganization.
Okay, I'd like to motion for Commissioner Carmen Vargas to be chairperson. And if I can do the vice chairperson, I would like to nominate Commissioner Cortez.
Okay. Do we have a second on that particular nomination?
Commissioner Romero, second that.
Okay, we'll take a roll call vote. Commissioner Cortez,
Aye.
Commissioner Vargas,
Yes.
Commissioner Romero,
Yes.
and former chairperson Solorzano.
Yes.
Okay. So I'd like to congratulate Commissioner Chairperson Vargas and Commissioner Cortez as the new chairperson and vice chairperson for the Recreation, Cultural, and Youth Commission for the City of Bell Gardens. Congratulations.
Thank you.
So at this time, we'll turn over the chairship to Commissioner or Chairperson Vargas, and she will proceed in conducting the rest of the meeting.
Thank you so much. So we move on to item number 3, the Recreation and Community Service Department.
Okay, I'll start, and then Mr. Andrade can chime in and provide some information. Something that just happened today, and we'd like to try to get the word out as quickly as possible. Actually, it happened about 3 or 4 o'clock this afternoon. We are going to run a rapid testing PCR clinic tomorrow. starting at 3 o'clock. It's a walk-up clinic. I believe staff is finalizing the flyer, so we'll get that out on social media. So please share it. It's at Ford Park, starting at 3 o'clock. We have test kits or testing for up to 500 people. And it's a rapid PCR test. So you should get results in about 10 to 15 minutes. And that will be available tomorrow at Ford Park from 3, and we'll go until we run out of the 500 tests. So please get the word out to anybody in your family. And we also are continuing with the other testing that goes on at Bell Gardens Veterans Park. That's still happening on Mondays through Friday from 11 to 5 p.m. During the holiday weeks, just like everybody else across the nation, there was a delay in getting the results back, up to about 4 to 5 days in some cases, but they're back on track. They brought in a lot more people. They're using a different testing lab now. And so you get results from them in approximately 48 hours. So that should be very helpful for the community. So we continue to operate those. Just to give you an example, we were doing 50 tests per day on an average, 40 to 60 per day. And then those 2 weeks between the holidays, our testing went up to 450 to 500 tests per day. So, but we were seeing that across the nation. And so unfortunately, it did impact us, and we tried to do our best. And so I think we're back on track, and hopefully more people will be able to take advantage of that. Also, our vaccine clinics continue to operate out of Bell Gardens Veterans Park. Tuesdays is the Pfizer boosters for 12 and over, first and second dosages for Pfizer. Wednesdays is the pediatric Pfizer, and that is for, I believe, 5 to 11-year-olds. And then the Moderna booster only is on Thursdays. But I'm happy to say that starting on January 31st, we'll be expanding the Pfizer boosters first and second to almost 5 p.m. On Mondays. So we'll be adding some additional time. We're trying to get to accommodate working families as best as possible. So again, we're listening to everybody and trying to accommodate those that still need this service, and we're happy to comply and just be of service. I'm happy to say that our supper program reached a milestone in the middle of January. I'm sorry, in the early January. We have provided 514,000 grab-and-go meals. And that's over the last 90 weeks since the pandemic hit. So I'm really proud of the staff and all of the efforts that were put into it. Our youth basketball program, unfortunately, is going to have to take a pause. There was a directors meeting that took place this week, and the county's recommendations for any indoor sports is that we pause for a few weeks, revisit it, take a look at it. We're going to proceed with all of our spring sport registration, which begins in February. And if Armando wants to share a little bit of that in a few minutes, as soon as I get through some of this other stuff, he can. But we're going to move forward with soccer. We're going to move forward with softball and baseball because it is an outdoor sport. And we think that we can manage that carefully and still provide these services. As self-defense is still going on, we did take a pause for one class when the rising cases happened for the January 8th, but we'll be making that up. We've had a number of people participate in the November and December workshops, and those again are free, and it's just for everybody's safety. So the monthly food distribution continues on the third Saturday of the month at Veterans Park. And again, we do about 500 boxes of food for families. Our pet clinics are continuing also on the third Saturday of the month. We moved those hours to a little bit later to accommodate everybody. We were trying to do the in-person meal program for seniors, but unfortunately the county has restricted that again. And so we're back to a delivery of the meals. So that continues. We are doing some programming at the senior center just to keep everybody busy as best as possible. Our community family service center is flourishing. We have a number of services. We just started the mortgage relief program. We're still doing rent relief programs. We're also assisting residents who may not have digital access to order their antigen tests. So we have residents coming in and we're just assisting them in placing that order for them since that became available this week. We continue with the Liberty Water discounts, and also we're now participating in the state utility assistance program. So there's even more resources for any residents who have been affected by COVID and are having difficulty paying their utility bills. So that continues to go on. We have our art classes, our dance classes. Some of you may have seen on social media that are continuing. And most recently, I'm really proud of the staff and their efforts. We are almost completing the migration from Max Galaxy, which was our registration process, which is no longer viable, to an ActiveNet platform, and staff has been working on training. Also, in probably about 2 weeks, we'd like to welcome you to come and visit our Ford Park sports office. All of that's been in the works of being transformed. We have new flooring, new furniture, equipment, all of that. It's just beautiful. It's all coming together. So I'm really proud of the efforts that staff is putting all together. And that's all I have. I'll go ahead and let Armando kind of share with you what's going on with youth sports for the spring and how we're proceeding, and just trying to, and I should also share that we are going to move forward with the winter festival that will be happening on, I believe, February 12th. So that information will be coming to you in the next week or two. And that'll happen at Bell Gardens Veterans Park.
So yes, as Roseanne stated, due to the heightened COVID numbers over the last month, we have taken a pause with all indoor sports for the immediate future. However, we're continuing with the spring sports, and registration for those spring sports will begin on January 31st for baseball, and the last day to register for that sport will be March 4th, and that is for boys and girls ages 8 to 14. The first small fry sport of the year will be soccer, and registration will begin on February 7th. The last day to register for that would be March 11th.
I believe that concludes the department update. I'm not sure if there's any questions. Be happy between Armando and I to respond to any questions.
The only question was in the chat. Council member or vice chairperson, Ms. Cortez asked, where is the PCR rapid test going to be? And I said, it's going to be in Ford Park, right? Is there a specific right in front of the entrance, or where normal distribution is at, or where is it like a gauge point so we can tell?
It's a walk-up testing site that will be placed immediately directly adjacent to the administration building. Staff will be placing signs as to where the entrance is, where the exit is. There'll be tables. There'll be plenty of signage for people to see. It starts at 3 p.m. And again, it's at John Anson Ford Park at 8000 Park Lane. And again, it's, we have approximately 500 tests. They're the rapid tests. So you'll get results in 10 to 15 minutes.
Thank you so much.
And is this
no,
only, I'm
No, go ahead.
sorry, I'm sorry.
no, I was gonna
And is
ask
this,
if anybody else has anything else. Go ahead.
okay, is this only for Bell Gardens residents, or will other neighboring cities be able to join?
Anybody is welcome to come and get a test. There's no limit as far as having to be a Bell Gardens resident. So if you have any family members or you know people in other communities that need a test, we'll be happy to accommodate them.
Okay, thank you. We'll move on to item number 4, which is Prop 68 grant, the California Outdoors for All. I'm not so sure who will be speaking. Go ahead, Roseanne.
So I was really, the city of Bell Gardens participated in a competitive grant cycle. I think this was the 4th and final grant cycle for Prop 68. We resubmitted, reapplied, we adjusted the grant that was submitted, I believe in 2020, and readjusted some of our numbers. We readjusted what our presentation package looked like. And I'm happy to say and congratulate all of the residents of Bell Gardens that the city is going to be receiving 3.9 and some change, almost $4 million for the renovations of Bell Gardens Veterans Park. And I took the liberty of going to our Girl Scout troop that our chairperson is the leader of, and to share the news, because the Girl Scouts were instrumental in providing community input as far as what improvements they wanted to see at Bell Gardens Veterans Park. And they submitted artwork, they submitted their testimonials, which also had been done in prior to the 2020, and we used that information. The project includes a number of elements. It includes, the repairs and renovations to the actual community center to make sure that our facility is ADA compliant. It also includes a number of features outside, like exercise workout equipment. It includes a dog park, a small dog park. It includes a picnic shelter, just a number of really great amenities that have been incorporated into the grant and have been requested. So the next step is for the city to issue an RFP for architectural design services, and then that architect and architectural firm, similar to the process that we did with the swimming pool, will then again meet with some of the residents to come up with design features, color schemes, where they want to see things placed, how they want to see things placed. So again, I hope that they look towards the Girl Scouts to help, and they can also bring their designs. And then we'll get into the actual documents and go out to bid for construction of the project. But this is a great feat for an accomplishment for the city of Bell Gardens. It's long overdue. And I'm happy to say that I was a part of the team, as well as all of the rest of the staff and the commissioners and the Girl Scouts and everybody to bring these resources to Bell Gardens. So if there's any questions, I'd be happy to answer any of your questions.
Does anybody have any questions? Yes, go ahead, Kim. Go ahead.
Yeah, real quick. And obviously everything's up in the air. This is very exciting news. I can't wait for a dog park. As y'all could see, my dog is ready for that. I was going to ask if there's already a sense of the ongoing community engagement that will happen, because I know there's a plan, but I don't know if we need to refine the plan as it goes. If there's a sense of that, or if there's an idea of how that will be developed, or is that like once we get our contractor, that'll get figured out?
So the process to apply for the grant was to vet the community and say, what amenities would you like to see in the park? as well as taking a look at what needed to be repaired and upgraded. And the first thing that came to mind was ADA compliance, because there's challenges with that. And we want to make sure that our parks are accessible to everybody and anybody. And so we need to do that. Getting into the design phase, the architects and engineers will come up with concepts of what and incorporate everything that was given to them by the community already. And they'll come up with concepts and they'll say, oh, we want to see the splash pad over here. We want to see the dog park over here. So this is what we came up with. Those designs or those will then be shared with the community. The community will take a look at it and say, you know what? We don't want the dog park in this corner. We'd like to see it in this part for whatever reasons. And then the commission can work with the staff, can work with the community to take in all of those elements, and then you'll have some more input. So yes, the short answer is yes, you'll have an opportunity to revisit the design.
Thank you.
If anybody has any other questions, I have one. Is there an expiration date to when we have to use the funds? Just in
They
sometimes
usually give you 5 to 6 years, but
Okay.
you know, I'm sure that
Hopefully we don't take that long.
I know.
no, yeah, there's sufficient time to make this happen. And I don't think that they want to put this on a shelf. I think that there's genuinely enough excitement among the council and everybody to try to move forward. And I know that there's been plenty of architectural firms that have already reached out to the city saying, you know, we're interested. And so the RFP process will be coming out, and then there'll be I'm sure an interview process very similar to how we did the aquatics. They had to make their presentations. They, you know, we vetted them as far as their experience, you know, and everything, so that we make sure that we pick a firm that is best for our community.
I have one more question. Is there additional funding that needs to be leveraged for the completion of the project? I know, because I know sometimes a project gets money, but it's not for the entirety, it's for a certain portion of that.
So we all know that construction costs have been rising. And so when we applied for the grant, it was almost pre-pandemic. It was very early on into the pandemic. And so yes, there's been rising costs, and you know, we're well aware of that. And so there's other funding sources that are being pursued right now to enhance that. There's also opportunities to leverage maybe some discretionary funds that maybe our supervisor might have, or our assembly member may have, to help us get through this process. So there will be some opportunities to leverage a little bit more funding, and there are some other grants that are coming online that we can couple our money and make it such that we can complete everything. So, but I'm well aware that the council's aware that, you know, 3.9 might not finish everything, and there might need to be a little bit of money set aside for, but I truly believe there's enough incentive to want to make this happen. So
Thank you. If nobody else has any other questions, then we'll move over to the next item, which is item number 5, which is the native and land acknowledgements.
Yeah, I asked for this agenda to be put on. Thank you so much. I don't know the caption that reads after that. I think that's an error.
It reads Prop 68 California Outdoors for All Bell Gardens Veterans Park refurbishment.
Yeah, I think it was a copy paste from item 4. So just something to note for the agenda, that like that part does not apply. Yeah, I think I wanted to bring this up and based on our last conversation as well. Understanding that we focus on recreation, that we are also decolonizing our learning in a lot of ways, particularly because this commission is also centered on youth. And so because of that, I wanted to bring into the space the consideration of doing a native land acknowledgement during these meetings. It's funny because I had thought about this based on the reception of the last topic, which was on water education in our last meeting. And then a few weeks after that, I saw that actually, I believe it's the city of Cudahy that actually just passed for their general city council meetings to do native land acknowledgements, which is beautiful. Congratulations to them. But it's also for us, that's a precedent where it's not just us starting from scratch. And I think this is also important, understanding whose land we're on as we look at what does recreation even mean for this commission, how we restore land and make sure that we are conserving and are in good relation with the land. We are currently, if folks don't know, we are on Gabrielino, Tongva, and Quiche land, which is unceded. And so for that, I wanted to bring that up to folks for conversation. One, is do we need more education on it? But two, how do folks feel about integrating that into every meeting?
Thank you so much, Vice Chair Cortez. I honestly believe more education is always the best. We don't always want to do something without having the proper resources, facts, data, anything like that. It would make it more reasonable, but I would pass this conversation over to Roseanne and Armando to direct us and see what other additional steps there might be, or something is out of our expertise as commissioners.
Sure. So just to give you an example, if this is something that the commission would like to bring forward as a commission project, as sponsoring of some type of an educational process, by all means, it's something that can happen. To give you an example, the Education Commission is working on an essay and art contest to honor Cesar Chavez. And so they are working on what they're going to present to council in relation to Cesar Chavez, how that's going to be introduced to the community, to the students, and that aspect of it. I think that if this is a commission item that you would like to see move forward, however that is, whether it's incorporated into our programs, whether there's an educational seminar, whether there's just ongoing reflective of that, I think the commission needs to decide on what that path is. What I would suggest is that, like the Education Commission, they created an ad hoc committee of the Education Commission. And so a couple of commissioners meet with staff to figure out how we're going to move forward with this. Is it a project? Is it ongoing information? Is it an educational thing? And then they bring it back to the full commission for an endorsement. So if that's the pleasure of the council, you can move the item because it's on the agenda as to develop an ad hoc committee to work with staff to figure out what you want to do, because it can't be solved like in this format in a meeting. There has to be some research, some decisions, some proposals, and then you can move it forward at a future commission meeting.
That's super helpful. Thank you so much, Roseanne, for that direction. I think I'm down with an ad hoc committee. That is very informal of me, but I would like to propose. I would like to request that an ad hoc committee be formed to explore acknowledgement and projects related to native land, as well as just land, water, and things like that. If someone is open to doing that, also, that would be great.
Yeah, I think that's a great idea. Like Chairperson Vargas had said, education on any topic, further education is always great. I know that I don't know very much of native land acknowledgements or anything about that. So for you to be able to bring it up, and Roseanne, for you to give us direction on how we can make something happen, is really appreciated. And I too, Vice Chair Cortez and down for an ad hoc committee, but I think that I know that I'm not the right person to be in it. So if we do have an ad hoc committee, Roseanne, would we vote those people to be the representatives now, or would we have to bring it back?
Again, because it's on the agenda, you can take some action. So if there's another commissioner that would like to participate, I'm assuming Commissioner Cortez wants to be part of the ad hoc. So if either Commissioner Romero or Chairperson Vargas would like to participate as the second ad hoc committee member, then those two individuals with staff will work on developing what that is to look like. You know, in what format will this move forward in, and then develop the whole program or whatever's to be done and decided on. So you can take that action
I
because
have a question regarding that. Sorry. My question is, for like, if you wanted to bring in outside people or outside counsel, because I think it's a great idea, but I'm not knowledgeable enough, but I do know people that are knowledgeable in this area. How do we bring them on as like advisors, or what would their role be, or is that allowed at all?
Absolutely, it's allowed. The only stipulation is you can't have a quorum. So in order to stay in compliance with the Brown Act, there can only be 2 commissioners, but you can enlist the assistance of a professor, of somebody who's an expertise in this that can lend some, you know, some background, maybe some even advisement. They can come in and do a presentation to the ad hoc and to staff. So you can bring in whoever you want as part of the advisory part. The limitation is just 2 commissioners to remain in compliance with the Brown Act.
Okay, thank you for that. With that being said, if there is an ad hoc committee formed, and I'm not a part of it, just know that I can maybe provide some resources. So
I know council member or commissioner person Solórzano said you aren't available, and is it the same for yourself, Romero?
yeah, I think availability is dependent on when we decide we're gonna meet or whatnot. I'd really like to give Commissioner Cortez, you know, the ability to be on it.
Oh yeah.
So you know, you guys can use me as a backup resource or something of that sort, because this was kind of her idea. But I'm definitely open to helping in any way that I can. So I could go either or.
Yeah. I, at this moment, my availability for another committee, I just cannot. So I know for sure I love the idea, but my availability is just isn't. And I'm in total agreement with Commissioner Cortez to be our representative. So if we could probably revisit it maybe next meeting to see if any more availability, or maybe we can come up with some tentative time so we can look at our calendar and see what exactly the ad hoc will look like, how many meetings a month, or what days or times. It would just be helpful for our personal lives and our work lives to kind of make sure we can make and accommodate time for it. So once there's, I think, a set time and a set date, we can probably revisit it, and I might be able to join, or maybe Commissioner Romero, or maybe Commissioner Solórzano, depending on the time. But we definitely are in agreement that Commissioner Cortez, you should definitely be the one there chairing it on and leading it for us.
So just so that everybody knows, the meetings can be in this format. They can be whenever it's convenient for the commission. So the commission will, again, dictate when all of this is to happen. It won't be staff driven, it'll be commission driven. So if the intent is, you know, that they have to meet on Thursday at 7 o'clock because that's when everybody can meet, then that's when it is. So it doesn't have to be, during working hours or in person, especially right now. So just to understand that there is some flexibility as far as time. I know a majority are working or very busy with a number of life issues. So it's at your pleasure.
Well, thanks, Roseanne, for clearing that up. I think that helps. The only reason why I was kind of not rushing to be in the ad hoc committee was because I thought that, either Romero or Vargas, would be available to do it. But if you guys have no objections and if you guys would like to get the ball rolling on this, I know that Commissioner Cortez is passionate about it, and I know that she will, give her all, and I want to be able to support her and get this rolling. If she's willing to do any ad hoc committee meetings on Fridays, I'm available all day. So and I know that we can use Commissioner Romero and Chairperson Vargas, their resources, and anybody who they'd like to be a part of it as well. So if there's no objection, I would like to propose starting or forming an ad hoc committee for native land acknowledgements, or just anything of that sort, with Commissioner Cortez.
So I guess we would need a second to be motion for the approval of creating that ad hoc with Commissioner Cortez and Commissioner Solorzano for native land acknowledgement education before we move forward.
Can I second? Is that weird?
Yes,
Yes,
no,
I
that's
will
fine.
second that.
All right, so Ms. Salcida, can you take roll to see we all agree?
Is she still having technical difficulties, Armando?
Yes, but she's in my office. She'll do it right now.
We're doing the new roll call.
Yeah, just take a roll call.
So Chairperson Vargas,
Yes.
Vice Chair Cortez,
Yes.
Commissioner Solorzano,
Yes.
Commissioner Romero,
Yes.
Okay, thank you. So we have created an ad hoc for the Native Land Acknowledgement Education piece component. So Ms. Commissioner Cortez, at next meeting, I hope you would be able to update us with, some key components of what the education piece is going to look like, maybe open to others, or just all the good information. So we look forward to hearing what we would be bringing up. Okay, so
You muted yourself.
I'm so sorry. Okay, now we're going to be moving on to item number 6, the Water Education Resource Guide.
That is also me. Sorry, I got really excited previous to this meeting. Clearly added a bunch of items. It's actually a follow-up to our last conversation, which was around what does it look like to provide education around water, around land, but also linking it to the really amazing projects that we're doing. Specifically, something that is regionally fascinating is the water conservation project that is happening at Fort Park, which is well underway. And it's going to be big, and it's going to be a huge asset, not just to Bell Gardens, but to the region. And so because of that, looking at ways to highlight it, but also looking at ways to educate our community around water conservation, which we know we're in a drought, things like that. And so I created a resource sheet it's a starting point. I definitely don't have all the answers, but it's a lot of it is visual. So what I create, it has a little paragraph of disclosure of what the purpose of this document. It then goes into a few of the resources with summaries of the resources. And so at this point, my question is partially to staff and then partially to this commission is how do we want to use that? And to the staff, it's how can we use that, right? So For example, can I share screen right now and can we review it together? Is this something that because I know there are rules that we have to follow. So is this something that I can share with or that staff can share with the other commissioners because they may have something to add? I know Commissioner Romero has expressed that they have knowledge or know people who have knowledge in this. I'm like, maybe they can contribute their own knowledge to this, right? Because it's not about being one holder or like one thing, it's a working document. So that's my initial question, and then thoughts around how to start implementing it. Yeah.
So here's where I think we should start. Before we distribute anything to the public, so even bringing it on the screen because the public can view it, what I would suggest is that we vet it through our Public Works Department, who basically operates our water system and is, directly knowledgeable about water and maybe has other resources because of our interaction. So what I would suggest is that if that could be emailed to myself and to Armando, we could then forward it to Grizel Chavez, who's the Public Works Director. And what I'd like to do is maybe set up a Zoom between the four of us so that Grizel can have some time to review it, see where we're at. I know that she is actively involved in water conservation right now because I was in a meeting where she was reporting on some of the issues that are affecting Bell Gardens at this moment and some of the restrictions that are coming into play. But it's again, another perfect education piece that the commission can be involved in. Maybe even sponsor something that the children can participate in to learn about water education, water conservation, so that they can also, educate themselves, their families, and whatnot. So let's start with that before we share it with the community, because we want to make sure that whatever we're distributing falls in line with everything else that's being done through Public Works.
Sounds good. Thank you.
Does anybody have any other questions or comments regarding item number 6? We will move on to item number 7, the event selection and staff survey.
That is also me. And that's the last item. So that's the last hour here of me. So I was thinking a lot about the really cool events that have been put on by the city that you all take so much time to really get folks to attend. And then also thinking of the immense staff capacity that I hadn't realized is needed up until we had like those 5 events in one day. And I was like, whoa, how did we get capacity from the staff to be able to be at all of these things? But primarily making sure that staff are also are so caring. I have learned, right? And now that I'm interacting more with staff with these things, including yourselves, are these topics and activities. And so I'm wondering, one, the event selection piece is, how are particular events prioritized or organized or chosen? For example, how do we choose that we're going to have golf? I don't know, right? Or a new sport, right? How do we choose that we're going to have a certain event, that it's the first time we do this event? So I wanted to get a bit more clarity on how those are chosen. And is there any change, and how does this change come about? And the staff survey piece to that was, have we ever talked to the staff? By we, I mean you all, right? Because you all do the work on that. Have you ever talked to the staff, done some type of survey to see what maybe they have really cool ideas of events that can take place, especially because I know, Roseanne, you mentioned that I believe most of the staff are Bell Gardens residents, right? And because of that, I'm sure they have like an ear to the ground of different ideas that can be implemented. So that's the generic idea, if folks have thoughts.
Sure, I'd be happy to respond to that. So first of all, events come up for different reasons, sometimes to honor a holiday, sometimes to, it's just something that's been done, like Christmas or spring egg hunt and those type of things. But then there are other events that are conducted just because they're recreational activities. There's been a number of events that come out as a result of staff ideas. A good example is the evolution of the Dia de los Muertos. So, the back to school event, which was a unique event this year, where we gave away backpacks and, health exams and things like that. So those were just staff ideas that, we came up with, and we sat down at a staff meeting and said, hey, what events this year, most of it happened. We came up with a annual calendar. So we did a calendar for 2021, and we plugged in certain events that we knew we were going to try to have. Some of them didn't happen just because of where we were with COVID. Some of them got moved around. A lot of it is driven by budget. We have to, and probably in the next, I would say about 30 days, we'll start preparing the budget for fiscal year, 22, 23. So some of those items will be put on there. But then there's also what we did for 2022 was we listed a number of events that we were hoping that we can have, that we still want to have, but we just haven't been able to because of COVID. We do an evaluation something I instituted where after a special event, we sit down and we go over the pros and cons, what worked, what didn't work, so that what I call tweaking, we can make adjustments to the event and try to move forward. A lot of our activities this year were COVID related, so food distributions and whatnot. And I'm hoping that the department can move forward mid-year into 2022, that we'll be able to get back to normal with a number of those type of programs. But sometimes it's just ideas that come up, and sometimes it's duplication because staff has heard of a program that's happening in Pico Rivera or in Montebello or something that happened in another community. And then there's events that have been going on here for forever, and they're still very popular and successful, like our fishing derby. In 2020, we didn't have the fishing derby. In 2021, we had the fishing derby. And that was one of the events that got compressed when we had 5 events. And it wasn't that we planned 5 events on that day. What happened is a couple of events got canceled or had to move. And all of a sudden, the next thing you know, it rained on the day we were supposed to have the dedication or the groundbreaking for the pool. And the next thing you know, we had 5 major events that were happening on that day. And so I commend staff. They all took their part of the project, of their projects for that day. But we also take suggestions from the community. There's been times that the community comes and says, hey, would you guys consider running this program or that program? And we do our best to accommodate, but a lot of it is driven by our budget. We do have a number of staff people that are very creative and create programs and services that, it's just something to give back to the community. And again, one of the biggest events that took place this year was the back to school event, and it had never been done before. And I think it was quite successful. And there's the other one was the holiday program. So the year before in 2020, it was a drive-through event at the casino. We reevaluated, thought, okay, we could do it a little bit safer, and we did with different times. And I think that was also a great event that took place. And again, we did it because we could do it safe this way, and we're still learning. So if there's ever programs, if there's ever projects, if there's ever events that, you know, the commission has the ability to make a suggestion, put it out there and see, and we could see where we're at with the budget. A prime example is the upcoming essay and art contest that's going to happen. It's commission driven. Staff is taking some initiative, and you'll see that information coming out. And it's just, it's a new event that'll happen here in the city of Bell Gardens.
Yeah, thank you for clarifying and giving all of that context, Roseanne. I appreciate it. I think in thinking of that comment, or in thinking of my purpose of putting this on the agenda, my thought was around like making sure that the staff who are like part-time, the staff who have only been here a year, right, are also like invested and are feeling heard, are feeling like their ideas are implemented, right? And so I think you mentioned like staff does pitch ideas, staff does do eval. And so the only clarifying question I had was, is that all staff or is that certain staff?
No, I know that the part-time staff don't come to the table, you know, but a lot of what they get from the, you know, they contribute information to the supervisors and to the coordinators. And sometimes it's just a matter of having a conversation out there because they're learning. And it is true, a lot of them are Bell Gardens residents, and it's great to see how they've evolved. There's one young lady, and maybe Armando can share with me how long she's been here, but I look at Edith, and Edith has, you know, been a recreation leader, and the next thing you know, she's teaching dance classes and she's helping out with Tiny Tots. And it's just the infusion of her energy that takes her to different projects. She's helped out at the Community Family Service Center. And so we have a number of those staff that will come back and say, hey, I can teach this class. We have some amazing employees that are so talented in the arts, in art classes, and they help out. And so every time there's an event and we set up an art table, those are the ideas of the part-timers. We don't shut them down. You know, they'll come up with, I can make minions out of balloons. Okay, let's do it, you know? And so I really don't think we shut any of them down. Sometimes, you know, if it's budget, it's just budget. But I've seen it in the sports area where our staff has evolved from just being a participant to being coaches to being officials. And so I'm really proud of the staff and how they've evolved. You know, even before I came here, I know that some of these staff have been here. We had a gentleman today that put in his resignation, but he's been an employee since 2007. And I think it was just time for him to retire, but it just goes to show that people don't stay unless they're having a good time.
Yeah, I appreciate that. And then, oh, go ahead, Armando.
So to answer Roseanne's question, Edith has been with the department like 4.5 years.
Actually, correction, she's been with the department almost her entire life.
Well,
She grew up,
as-
yeah,
as
she
a-
grew up.
Participant.
Yeah, she grew up as a lot of, I think, the part-timers and some of the full-timers as well. You know, they grow up in the department, going to the programs, being a participant, and really loving what they're doing and being around the staff who enjoy their jobs. And I think that's a big part of it, making sure that the employees, all of them, are really enjoying their job and doing, you know, things that they love to do. And I think a huge part of that in the full-timer role is making sure that the part-timers, you know, like you said, Cortez, feel heard, have passion for public service. You know, when I started in recreation, I didn't want to be in the public sector. I wanted to do something completely different. And being in recreation, it made me want to be, you in local government. It made me want to pursue public service. And I think if I'm not mistaken, Cortez, this is like what you want to achieve. You want them to be heard. You want them to feel, passionate about what they're doing, and letting them know that, hey, like your director and your supervisors and your coordinators are like, they're hearing you. Like they want to stand behind you. If you have like an idea, share it. And I think a lot of times too, we feel like we, like maybe we're a little shy or a little nervous to share, an idea we have because we're scared of being turned down, which is completely normal. So I think this staff survey would be a cool idea, to be, hey, every half a year, hey, what programs did you like? What programs do you think we can improve on? And I know you said, Roseanne, that you do that and you do the tweaking. But I think just an anonymous survey, or a survey if they choose to put their name, would be a really cool idea, just to get additional feedback. And I know that we're not trying to put more work on you guys, but maybe this is something that the commission can do, and it can be a commission driven survey or proposed survey. And if you guys are okay with it, maybe we can, come up with the consolidated information that comes about and go from there.
I hear what you're saying. I think that the input from the part-timers can definitely be gathered, whether it's anonymous or not, through our full-time staff. I've been here a little bit over 2 years, maybe almost 2.5 years. And in the 2.5 years, or whatever, I guess 2 years at least, it's all been about COVID. And so how we program has been extremely limited. And so I honestly feel that had we not been in COVID, we would be at a different place in the type of programming that we've done. We have not had an opportunity to do normal recreational programming for 2 years. I started in November of 2019. Pandemic hit in January, February, and March. We were making choices as to whether this department was going to survive. We were in survival mode. And so everything we offered and provided was community services. I think going forward for the future of Bell Gardens, you will see a number of great recreational activities that are going to take place in the future, because we want to get back to normal. We haven't been able to. And so to try to evaluate programming for recreational opportunities is not something I think can be done right now, just based on the fact that we're still in a survival mode. I would venture a guess that within the next 6 months, this opportunity to evaluate and come up with great ideas and see where we're going with programming will be absolutely welcomed. But I do have to say that the operations that were taking place, we didn't have an opportunity to do recreational programming for 2 years. If it was somebody was doing it in a car and driving through something. And so it wasn't normal. We weren't holding recreational classes. We weren't holding day camps. We weren't conducting softball, baseball tournaments of any sort. We weren't running, tiny tot sports or anything like that. Nothing was normal for the last 2 years. And I think going forward for the department, there will be an opportunity to do an evaluation process. And I believe the commission has a great role in that, to provide ideas, because some of you do have a background in recreation. And some of you have been members of this community for a long time, and you want to see different things incorporated into how we do things. So I really hope and I really pray that we can get to that, because it's been horrendous. It has been for everybody. And I know I'm not, preaching to anybody. It's just been horrendous. And so for the efforts that have been made for the last 2 years, I cannot commend the staff any more than what they've done. And I still get choked up because I still remember that April day where I had a choice to make as to whether we were going to lay off everybody and discontinue, but we didn't, and they were successful. And so for that, I think going forward, there will be an opportunity in the future.
And it speaks highly because we were able to do so much during the pandemic because we had our staff. If we didn't have our staff, there is no way we would have been able to hold the food distributions, pass out the meals to the seniors, have this community family service, be, brought up and all that as well. So because of that very difficult choice, do we let go of our recreational staff, or do we keep them and find other ways for this community to survive in such a unprecedented event that anybody has to go to? So I completely understand the reasoning and all that. And even to this day, we're still holding drive-through distributions. We're still holding monthly, food distributions. So it is a difficult time for us to advise the department to take a full evaluation on what is our events. But at least we have the piece of knowledge that after each event, they are evaluating what was successful, what wasn't successful, what can we do better, what didn't work. So at least we have that knowledge that is happening. So if anything, just continuing to support the department and the recreational leaders and staff as well, just letting them know that, we're always thinking of them because they're always at the events. We're the ones enjoying them. They're the ones working at them. So, thank you so much for the information. And I'm very proud of our department here at Bell Gardens for everything that they continue to do. And I'll share a little more in my commissioner comments at the end. So if anybody else has any other questions or comments, we'll move on to, if anybody else has anything else? No, okay. Yes, okay, good. Is there any public comments on non-agenda items?
Commissioner, for the record, we have to have the secretary make a notice of
Commissioner.
Commissioner Romero's.
Okay,
For the record, Commissioner Romero signed out.
At 6:58 p.m.
thank you. Again, is there any public comments for non-agenda items? Nope. Okay, so we will move on to staff. Well, we already did the staff comments, which is the family distribution happened, the vet care, the youth group, and the Winter Wonderland, which you all shared. So we'll move on to commissioner comments. Commissioner Cortez or Solorzano, do you have any to conclude?
No, thank you.
Oh, okay. I'll go ahead and go. What did I want to say? First, I wanted to say congratulations to Chairperson Vargas and Vice Chairperson Cortez. I know you guys are going to do an amazing job. And just with this first meeting, I feel like we've gotten so far and done so much already. And I think I can speak for all of us when we say that we are very proud of our Bell Gardens Recreation and Community Services Department for all that they've done throughout the pandemic. It's been extremely difficult, and Roseanne's right. She had a choice and she made one, and it benefited the community and the staff as a whole. And I can honestly say it and truthfully say that I am grateful for that, because I was in that group of people that she could have let go that day. So I appreciate that. I am very proud of that department. They've come a long way. A lot of people have come in and a lot of people have left due to different circumstances, but I know that, everybody is doing the best that we can with what we're given. And I don't think at any point was it, sorry. I don't think at any point, I completely lost my train of thought. I'm so sorry. So I don't think at any point we thought that this would happen. And I know that the recreation department is going to continue doing an amazing job as they always do. And I think as more recreation events and activities and programs come about, I think we'll be able to do a lot more. And I don't doubt that at all. I understand the restrictions that we were in. So I don't want you to ever think that I didn't understand the restrictions, because I do. And I'm grateful. And then other than that, I wrote something down, but I can't find it. So it's all right. I look forward to being on the ad hoc committee with Vice Chair Cortez. And I look forward to working with Armando and Roseanne and anybody else that Chairperson Vargas or Commissioner Romero would like to be on it. So thank you guys. It's been a long evening. So I hope you guys have a great weekend. Thanks.
Thanks. I have a few comments and I'll try to make them quick. I just want to say that at last commissioners meeting, I was so excited because I had a few comments I wanted to share with all the events that were happening. So for example, at the last meeting, I had shared that during Thanksgiving break, I was thinking, hey, as a mom, I'm gonna take my kids to go get vaccinated at the site. But then I thought, hey, the hours are only from 12 to 2. How is this gonna work out when they need their dose? I came to the commissioner meeting and I said, you know, thinking about the second dose, we might have to, you know, advise if it's possible to extend the hours, because you would have to pull your children out of school to get the third dose. And when I went with my children during Thanksgiving break, the register people that are there, they told me, hey, when you come back, the hours are going to change. They're going to be for after hours. So it was really, really nice to see that the facility was able to extend the hours. And as you're saying to Roseanne, they're extending it even longer in a couple of weeks till 5 p.m. So it's really great because we are a working community. You know, we all work a little bit later, might try to pull out a little early from work to make this, because as we all know with what happened during Christmas with, you know, everybody going back to school and the kids being out, you know, getting vaccinated was such a big important, not only to me, but I'm pretty sure to other community members. So, you know, thank you so much. And I ended up bumping into, Commissioner Cortez while we were waiting in line. We're like, oh, look at that. So we were just there getting vaccinated. So you never know who you meet. And I ended up seeing a teacher from one of my kids' schools. So it was really nice because it's open to everybody. So it's really good. I also attended the tree lighting ceremony you all had. The Mariachi Divas were there. Santa was there. You know, my Girl Scouts were there helping with the decorating cookies. And then the churros were a hit. The line was from beginning to end. So it's something small and tradition that I think the city does appreciate. So thank you so much for doing that. I think there was so much lighting that made it a little bit better from prior years that I've been there. So it's really great. And then also I got a chance to attend the self-defense. That teacher or that instructor is no joke. He is like in it to teach you some self-defense. He teaches you, you know, it is contact. So it was a good thing that it did get paused for January, because you are so close in contact with each other, because you're learning these techniques to protect yourself from, you know, danger, stranger, and all of that. So the self-defense was so good. And there are a lot of interest in the community. So I'm very appreciative that the city is able to offer it for free of charge. So maybe looking into future workshops like this that could be offered to the city, because we know the sports usually have a registration fee, but maybe something like this, the city would always, you know, continue to participate like that. And then of course, the big mega event, the Winter Wonderland on December 18. I think it was such a great success, as you mentioned, Roseanne, from beginning to end. You know, it was so safe where everything was spread out. The parking lot at Suva Intermediate is pretty big. The way everything was stretched out, everything was spaced out. Nobody bumped into each other. It wasn't overcrowded. Everything had a beginning to end. So it was a great turnout. I loved all the photo booth opportunities and the fact that the department made those little QR codes so you can download your pictures. I think it's really meaningful that you're thinking extra for us, the community. So I was really, really happy to be part of that. And then there's a lot of volunteers. So that's really nice to know that the city is there to help out. And then the Clean California workshop, my troop was able to participate in what they want to see in the small little hidden parks in between our cities. So if anybody's listening out to our commissioner meeting, I invite you to participate in those workshops. It's what you want to see in your city park. It's what you want your kids to play with. It's what you want to be able to enjoy. So it's so important that we continue to speak our voice during these mini workshops, during the surveys online, because the only way things are going to get done is if we voice them, just like we did. Because I remember being at the Prop 68 park refurbishment grant. I remember being there, putting little things where things should be at, writing down what we liked, writing down what we would want, and your voice matters. So I encourage our community to continue to, voice their ideas and their suggestions, and, not to be afraid of where you come from. So that was a lot, but I know I had a lot to share at the previous meeting. But, again, thank you so much for your time. And if Armando or Roseanne, you don't have anything else to share, go ahead, Roseanne.
Are all the commissioners finished or? Okay. So I just want to kind of announce that this is my last commission meeting. I am rejoining the ranks of the retired and will be retired here in the next couple of weeks. It's been an amazing opportunity to have served here for the last almost 2.5 years. I've learned a lot, and it's been a lot of hard work, but it is an amazing staff. I know that they're going to do great things in the future. I know that. I can see that. They're just itching to get back at regular recreation and doing all of that. And so I just wanted to say thank you to all of you for your your kind words over the years, and for just allowing me to serve here in Bell Gardens. It's been it's been fun. It's been a lot of hard work. So I just wanted to say thank you and let you all know that I will be departing very soon. So thank you very much. That's all I have. Thanks.
Well, you will be greatly missed. We know that you were a great addition at such a time like this. I remember meeting you at the Winter Wonderland back in 2020 when Oscar introduced me. Oh, I want to introduce you to a new park director. And I was like, hi. And ever since then, you've been so warm, so welcoming, so encouraging, so empowering, not just to myself, but to my Girl Scouts. And I've seen it to the staff and to your volunteers as well. So we're sad to see you go, but we understand what retiree means as well. So, we hope and wish you the very, very best.
Yeah, I don't want to take up a lot of time, but Roseanne, I'm sad I didn't get to work with you more. And thank you so much for the little time that we spent. But yes, enjoy, live your best life. Yes, do all that.
I will. Thank you.
All right.
Enjoy your retirement, Roseanne. I'm sure the department is going to miss you and want or reach out for some expertise every once in a while.
Right. Well, again, we thank you so much, Roseanne, for everything. So if there isn't anything else, we will adjourn this meeting at 7:19, and we will resume next month. All right, everyone, have a good night.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Bye-bye.